All right, guys, today we're talking about too much too soon. And specifically, too much of what? I always used to say that when a girl would say, it's too much too soon. That's why we have to break up. I'd be like, well, too much of what? What? Too much of what? Let me fix it. Right? You can't fix it. So today we're going to talk about too much too soon and too much of what. I had a client last night who's in a new relationship, and the new relationship is maybe like a month old. And in that course of that month, you know, it's the holiday season. She went away for 1 week. She came back. They've hung out like a lot of times right in a row. So he's worried about too much too soon. He's worried about, you know, the girl saying, well, I know this is too much too soon, but, you know, maybe we should hang out anyway. And he went over there anyway, and they slept together. It's like, well, when is the point? I know this feels like too much, but what's the point where I'm going to lose my relationship because it is too much too soon? And what would be too much? Like, is it me going over there? What is it? All right, so this is a good question. So I'm going to break this down for you, and then we're going to talk about a little story I have that to me kind of proves what you can do and what you cannot do about too much too soon to avoid it. All right, so there are, if you've seen another video of mine called The 4 Relationship Conditions, if I'm good enough at YouTube, I'll put a link somewhere. And in The 4 Relationship Conditions, I talk about eagerness with your actions and eagerness with your words, okay? When we are too much too sooning a new relationship, often what we're really doing is we are underqualifying ourselves for a woman. So for instance, she not only feels like you're willing to hang out, but she also feels like, you know, she hears you saying a lot of things like, I like you, or, you know, this looks like it could go somewhere, or, you know, you're saying a lot of verbally validating things, and then you're also super willing to hang out, and that makes a girl feel like she's overqualified for you. So the problem maybe isn't that it's too much too soon, because sometimes it's not. Sometimes couples hang out early, they hook up, they start really liking each other, and then they're off to the races. Well, what's the difference between a guy who does that and you or me losing the shit because it wasn't good enough, right? What's the difference? Well, the difference is what comes out of your mouth, okay? The difference is too much too soon is maybe the girl's really saying, maybe I'm getting the idea that this guy's underqualified for me. Why am I getting the idea that he's so willing to hang out, that he likes me too much? Uh-oh, these are starting to be red flags. That's different than a guy who holds his words back and doesn't say verbally validating things like, I like you, you're beautiful, where's this going, future projecting, all those things, right? If you hold those back, I would argue that you're not going to get too much too soon, because girls are going to like hanging out with you, okay? So, I'll give you an example of this. A little story. Back in, I don't know when this would have been, probably early 2010s, I was thinking about this exact concept. I was getting girls telling me it's too much too soon. So I was like, well, let me just date a girl who I just don't ever try to sleep with at all. Don't ever try to end up in the same room with this girl where we could be alone. What if I just push things off as far as possible and see what happens, right? So I'm going to be normal, old, attractive guy. I think I was teaching I think I started at 2006, so I might have been teaching 6 or 7 years. I knew what I was doing. I figured out how to make myself, like, I removed a lot of mistakes. I was starting to be an attractive guy to girls. Girls were starting to pick me. And so I said, let me just see what happens if I go on dates. So I met this girl. I started going on some dates with her. And I decided I was going to make her wait as long as possible. So I started saying things like, that were what I call now pumping the brakes. I started saying things like, well, she'd be like, well, you know, what are we doing here? And I would say, what do you mean? I've known you for like a week. Or I've known you for like a month, or we've only hung out 3 times. I'm saying things that minimize the level of connection. I don't know if you guys can hear that train. The level of connection that we have, or the level of time we've spent. I'm saying things that minimize our perceived connection, or at least I'm framing our perceived connection in a way where it's fresh, it's new. We're not that far yet. Things haven't gone that far yet. Slow down. I'm pumping the brakes. I'm saying slow down, slow down, slow down to the girl, right? But at the same time, I'm willing to hang out all the time, or as much as she would like to hang out, and just see if that's too much too soon. So the experiment is pump the brakes verbally, but hang out all the time and see if that's too much too soon. And the answer is it's not. It's not too much too soon, which is a really interesting distinction to make. I think too much too soon is actually when you've created a condition where you are underqualified for the girl, or she feels overqualified for you, and you're doing that soon enough that she notices, oh shit, I'm already starting to feel overqualified for this guy. This is really bad. He's gonna get really into me. Oh my gosh, he's gonna start calling me. He's never gonna stop. In fact, this happened with a friend of mine, a girl in Las Vegas. She had a guy who actually I knew, and the guy, like, they hung out. I was like, yeah, I kind of know this guy. I don't know him super well. We've talked a few times, but this guy even hung out with her once. They, hooked up to some level, and then he did that. And I'm like, damn, this is an epidemic. I'm getting students calling me. I'm getting this girl calling me. It's happening to everybody. So that's why I thought I'd make this video. So again, the key to doing this is to back off verbally or pump the brakes verbally and allow the girl to push the relationship forward. In fact, you should be pumping the brakes on the relationship, and the girl should be pushing forward on the relationship. That's your job as a dude. Push the shit away, and that's her job as a girl. Hey, let's push this towards a relationship. When you're in that condition of you pushing away and her wanting a little bit more, you are in the perfect spot to proliferate the relationship on the way to however far it's going to go, but the longest longevity it could have, if that's even a thing. Okay, so back to this story. So I go on some dates with this girl, and I end up going on 11 dates with this girl. I meet her friends. I'm not sure. I might have met a family member or two. I don't remember. We went out a bunch. We were hanging out all over Southern California and, Santa Monica. We were going to all these dinners and stuff. But at the end of the date, I would just, I got to go home or whatever. So I would take myself off the table, like physically, and take myself off the table, like verbally. Whoa, slow down. We just met each other. Hey, chill out. We just met each other, Well, what are we doing? Where's this going? My friends, this is what girls always say, tricky thing girls always say. My friends are wondering what we are. It's like, could you be any more direct? Just say, just have the DTR with me. Have the define the relationship talk. But this is in the traditional way girls do it. They would rather sub-communicate that they want a relationship. So when you guys, if you're hearing this and you hear a girl say, my friends are wondering what we are and I don't know what to tell them. What's happening is the girl is really thinking about a relationship, obviously, and she needs a way to introduce it to you, obviously, without getting burned, like the last time she actually had a real DTR with a guy and the guy was like, hit the curb, right? Some guys do that, by the way. So anyway, long story short, I go on 11 dates with this girl, and at the end, we end up at her place, and she raped me. No, I'm just kidding. It's a hard word. I use the R word. Doesn't it feel so aggressive? The R word, don't use it. Okay, no, she was aggressive. How do I say this? She liked me. She liked me very much. After 11 dates, she really liked me, and she wanted to consummate our friendship into something else, or our burgeoning love. So you might ask, what's the end of this relationship? Well, she dumped me. It was too much too soon. No, it wasn't too much too soon. No, she dumped me because I told her I couldn't hang out one Friday night because I was teaching a workshop, but I didn't tell her I was teaching a workshop, right? Because, it's a weird thing that happens when you tell a girl you're dating, coach. So I was teaching a workshop, and I was like, I can't hang out, So I went out that Friday with a bunch of dudes, and I was hitting on some girl at a bar in the Den, actually, in Hollywood. It was at the Den. And I was hitting on a girl right in the front where the staircase, I don't know if you guys know the Den. There's a place in Hollywood called the Den. You walk down the staircase, right there in the front right when you enter, that's where I was hitting on this blonde girl. And I didn't see anything else but this girl I was talking with. And apparently this girl I was dating walked down the steps and saw that I was there, and then walked all the way around me. And then, I didn't see it. And one of my students had had known about the girl, seen me with her, and had told me in my ear that she was there, but he used the wrong name. So I was like, I didn't know anything was going on. And then apparently that girl left and I never saw her. So then when I texted her that week to hang out, she was like, you know, she was upset. As you can imagine a girl might be when she thinks she's dating a dude and you've gone on like 11 dates and then you finally like hook up and then the very next weekend, like within a few days, there's that dude that you just hooked up with, like standing in front of the front line to the bar, like right when you walk in, standing right there hitting on a girl right when you walk in. You know, as you can imagine, that might be hard to deal with as a guy. So I was like, no, it's cool. I'm actually, I was like, I didn't want to tell you this, but I'm actually a dating coach. You know, I teach guys to meet girls for a living, and I did this through text, by the way. So of course it really didn't work. And I'm like, no, I was teaching this, you know, these guys dating. I'm a dating coach, and that's why I was in the bar talking with this girl, because I had to, you know, I had to do that, you know. And she was like, well, that'd be a really good excuse if that was such a thing, you know. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I lost that one. That one's over. So that actually was over. And then a couple of years, I don't know how much longer, a year and a half later, she got married and she's happy, and I met a better girl and I'm happy. It's all fine, right? The moral of the story is you can go on 11 dates. If like you play your cards right, you pump the brakes verbally, you can go on 11 dates and the girl might just like attack you at the end of it because you've held off so much. So that's even when you go on 11 dates in like, I don't know how much, it must have been like maybe a month. I mean, it was like every day or every other day we were hanging out. It was quite a bit. It might have been a few weeks, but it was really, really fast. And it was a lot. And it was what would be easily considered too much too fast, except for I wasn't making the bad guy mistake of like verbally projecting and validating the girl all the time. So that's what I have to say about too much too soon, is that if you can remove, this is what I was telling the guy last night, my client last night, is like, if you can remove yourself from saying the things that guys normally say when they're hanging out with a girl in the beginning stages and they're starting to really like a girl, if you can remove yourself, if you can hold back, if you can say like, don't say that, if you can take those things away from what you're saying, you're gonna have a lot better shot at things not being too much too soon. So yeah, I guess that's our video today. If you guys have any questions, shoot them below. Happy to answer them. And I'm gonna get back to doing some welding.